Now let's welcome to the show three-time All-Pro defensive tackle from the Tennessee Titans and the pride of Macon, Mississippi, Jeffery Simmons.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me.
Jeff, great timing with the news late Monday night that Robert Saleh is the new head coach of the Titans. Curious, what is your reaction to having a defensive-minded head coach who should really invigorate the franchise too from an energy and really leadership standpoint as well?
The first reaction, I was pretty pumped. Last night I'm laying in bed, and of course, at that time, at the point of the night, it's off season. I'm just strolling on Twitter, and I want to say maybe like 5-10 minutes later, I get a FaceTime call, and I missed the FaceTime call because, of course, at that point, my phone going do not disturb at I want to say 11 o'clock at night, and it's like around 11:15. It said Mike Borgonzi. I'm like, oh, it got to be true.
GM, yeah.
I'm like, oh, let me call him back right now. He ended up calling, and he was like, meet your new head coach. I'm sitting there with your new head coach. I was pretty pumped, man, because I know, the resume that Saleh have, and just when I posted it, even on my Instagram, the post that the NFL posted, I got maybe like 3 or 4 guys that he didn't coach, and guys that I respect the hell out of, from, DeForest Buckner, Aziz, Samo, who played with him just this past year. Guys like that too, you're going to love him. You're going to love his style. All you got to do is just, guys like you is going to get everybody to buy into his philosophy. You guys are going to be good. And that's what really excited me, because I saw, we played against San Fran, and I love the way they defensive line and their defense hunt. And to know the way he had guys like Quentin Williams played up there, and when he was in New York, to see that, like, that's what excites you. And then, to have a defensive head coach, I didn't have that before with Vrabel, and now Saleh, like, that's exciting the hell out of me, because now, first off, I know he's a defensive line guy. Now he's just gonna let you go and disrupt the game. I'm sure, I haven't just talked scheme and stuff and like that with him just yet, but to be able to figure out what's best and how can I get my matchup, it's a little easy to go through, especially when you're the head coach. You can make a little more, decisions making, especially when the crunch time. So I'm excited. I'm excited to get to work with him. Of course, it's like I'm at the facility. I came to the facility to get a little sweat in, and of course ran to him in the hallway, and we dapped it up, and so I'm excited to have him and ready to get the road.
What did he say to you in terms of why he's so fired up to coach you, Jeff?
Just conversation we done had, from when he's saying, like, just the people that he didn't talk to around the league. He's like, if you just have as the good person you are, that everyone telling me about you and this and that, that's gonna be easy. I mean, football stuff gonna take care of itself. So, just the excitement for the both of us. And I don't know if this. I'm sure don't have nothing to do with the NFL, like no fine or nothing. But hell, it was after the game we played San Fran. We went up, mutual respect. Telling me I'm a hell of a player. At the end, I kind of rubbed it out, like, you're gonna be in Tennessee next year, right? And it's crazy that it's actually happened.
Yes.
For me to say that after the game, because like I said, I respect the way he have his guys
Yes.
playing. I mean, you turn on not even just against us, but when you watching Sunday night games and Thursday night game, every time they make a big play, like, to see his energy on the sideline, that's contagious. And to have that from a head coach now, like, that's going to be even more contagious. Just to see that as a defensive lineman, like, I want to celebrate. I want to celebrate with my coach. I want to see that fireness on the sideline. That's what's exciting me. So, I'm excited. I'm excited. Like I said, when I saw him after that game and I told him you're going to be in Tennessee next year, I don't think I was just messing with him. I really wanted him to be my coach, and now it's actually happened. So
that is incredibly awesome. I mean, that is super special. You were praised a lot this year, Jeff, in terms of the leadership, and not just how dominant of a player you were. How did you grow as a leader this season?
It's one of them things to where everybody, even as a man, you have to do a lot of self-reflecting. How can I be a better dad? How can I be a better person? But for me, I knew I wanted to do all of that off the football field. But when I walk into a building with such a young football team, when I walk into a building to where it's like, how can I reach these guys? And sometimes the way I lead, it may come off as this guy is an a-hole. Like he's hard. He just wants. Some guys may think I just want to be, find something to, fuss about or whatever it may be. But for me, I know what winning looked like. In my first 3 years, I made the playoff. I mean, not, I wouldn't never won a Super Bowl yet, but hopefully that's in the future. But what I'm saying, I know what leadership looked like. I know what, the way a locker room's supposed to be. I know when you start letting little stuff slip, when it get in December, them things right there catch up to you. So I kind of knew what it looked like, but I also didn't know how to get it across to certain guys who maybe just came out of college, maybe who kind of been get bottle fed a little bit, kind of. I'm not gonna say entitled because it's a difference between entitled and just need a, put an arm around at times. So one big thing, like I said, I did a lot of reflecting, and leadership was a big theme that took part of how can I be better this offseason, things that I could work on leading to next season. And man, when I say I went from, reading certain things and, looking up different Kobe's things about leadership, I'm calling my uncle who also played in the NFL, which I'm sure everybody knows about now, Jason Hatcher. I'm calling him like, how can I kind of connect with certain guys that can't take the hard criticism just yet. Then I'm talking to him now. I think it was maybe right before the first game of the season or whatever it may be. Yeah, it was before the first game of the season, and I remember calling DeMarcus Ware. I text him. I text DeMarcus Ware just like, I need a couple pointers. I know as a leader, football player take that step, but as a leader, I knew so many guys respected you and looked up to you. What advice can you give me on leading a young football team and, trying to connect with certain guys? And man, one thing that he said to me was that kind of, I'm like, whoa, he was like, give guys a vision and not an outcome. When you start to give guys like kind of tell them and kind of show them like this what it really is, and not so much of a kind of like an attack of like this, that, like you just got beat, or kind of just snapping and just talking to the guy and trying to try to break that
that barrier,
that went like that outside piece of where this wall is built up from a player, because you're trying to get on them right now and not coming from a place like, no, I'm not trying to attack you. I'm just trying to help you be a better football player, because we're all in this thing together and trying to win. So when he told me that, man, like that really stuck with me to where, yes, I feel like I was giving guys more of that outcome leadership of, I'm being hard on you, but it's not also like, come here, bro, let me talk to you. This is the reason why I said this and that. So I mean, that right there was a big part of my off season. When after the exit meeting that we had, I talked to Callahan, I talked to Denard, and we was all on the same page that my voice is very big in this building. And these young guys for sure look up to me, and that's one thing I really wanted to focus on was my leadership. So
I wrote this down because I've heard this from a few people within the organization, that how rare it is to match the caliber of player that Jeffery Simmons is with the caliber of person and leader. So was that hard for you to take that onus on yourself and say, I know what I need to be as a leader, and I need to, you know what I mean? Like, here's what I need to get there, and I'm not there yet.
It wasn't hard. When you want to be successful, when you want to, and it's not nothing like, yes, I want to take constructive criticism. When Mike and Chad told me that, one thing that I can really like get better at is my leadership and how I approach certain things, I didn't take that as an attack. I take that as that's a challenge for me. Like yes, go, Jeffrey, whatever you need to do to be a better leader, that from reaching out to guys that been here before, then do that. So for me, I didn't feel like it was a hard thing for me, because it's something that, for one, I take a lot of pride in. I take a lot of pride in leading this football team. I take a lot of pride in, leading the defense. I take a lot of pride in guys, young guys like DK coming up to me, man. He's like, after the game, he said, I want to talk to you about just your routine in the offseason of, he don't play D-line. He plays special team.
Sure.
I mean, he play receiver. But guys like that coming up to me because they saw, like, kind of the way I was going about my business, like, that means a lot to me because I know, like, these guys, they watching. So if my leadership is not, if I didn't improve in my leadership, then there's no respect. All they see is a good football player on the field making plays, not the type of guy he is off the field and in the locker room. And that's something, like I said, I took to heart, and I really wanted to improve in that, and that's the reason why I made it a big focus to improve my leadership this offseason.
What was the best thing you saw from Cam Ward this season?
Like, he's a good player. When you see the normal deep balls and you see the crazy, throws, but to throw across his body as many times as he did, we always hear quarterback
don't throw
across your body. You cannot do that. But for Cam Ward to do it maybe like 4 or 5 times in the season and never get intercepted, like, to his play, like, if y'all ever see Cam Ward body, I get on about his body every day. I'm like, bro, you got the worst body as a quarterback. Like, your body look worse than mine. And we always joke. I'm like, Cam. He's like, Jeff, and you still wouldn't be able to sack me. I'm like, Cam, me coming down the barrier at you, you're not gonna be able to just juke me like you be doing these DN at times.
Right.
Like, I'm like, it's different than you have the interior pressure. But man, to see the type of throws he made, throughout this year, and to see the growth from week 1 all the way to the end of the season, it was tremendous to see. And guys respect him. I think when you have of course he's a quarterback, and when you, being a starting quarterback, you get that respect, of course, no matter if you're a backup or not. But for him, when he came in, guys, he kind of started drawing guys to him. Me and Cam first met. We met at a party at like a, DeAndre Hopkins had a birthday party, at dinner, and we ended up meeting there. And the first day I met Cam, we started talking smack to each other. I'm like, I like him already. Like, this is my type of guy. And that's just showed the type of confidence he had walking into the building. He knew the reason why we drafted him, and I was excited to be a teammate. And then to see the crazy throws, and to see bad built Cam make all these guys miss and make a lot of money coming off the edge, that was exciting to see. And then, of course, I told him we got some good connection now. We got good chemistry. He threw me a touchdown pass, so
I was gonna. That was my next question. Is he threw a touchdown pass to you against the 49ers, by the way, Robert Saleh. What was that whole experience like? What do you remember about that?
Well, Jordan, we practiced that play maybe, I want to say 4 or 5 times. They called me down on the offense, doing our pre-practice walkthrough. And we probably practiced that like 4 or 5 times since we put it in. And because we put it in like kind of early in the season, like mid-season early.
Right.
But it was to a point where I'm like, man, they're not gonna never call this play. Like, Cam, when we was walking through the plays during practice, they never threw me the ball. Cam never threw me the ball. And I'm like, he not gonna throw me this ball at practice, because I mean in the game, because I went to the flat, of course, and it ended up turning into a scramble drill, and I'm like, me running across, I'm like, I don't know if he's gonna throw me the ball, but in my instincts, like, you gotta scramble with him and go back across. Like I said, I just saw him make them crazy throw across his body. Him scrambling the other way, you typically not just gonna go to the far end zone like with any other quarterback. But with Cam, I'm like, in my head, Cam done made this throw. I saw it before, so let me run on the other direction. And when I saw that ball in the air coming to me, I was like, everything in my mind just like, don't drop this ball, whatever you do. And I just remember going, and when I saw it in there, I'm like, this is my ball. And I'm like,
my rock
with me. Like, you got to catch this football. It was excitement. That's the reason why, I kind of ran. You go back and watch it, especially when the angle that I got. I was running, and I celebrated with JC a little bit, and I celebrated with O-line, but I really was going to find Cam. Cause I ran through all of them just to find Cam and celebrate with him. And I was excited. Of course we lost the game, but to know that they end up calling that play to get us on the board is pretty exciting. Like I said, that whole prep leading up to it, I never got a pass from Cam. Of course, like I was messing with him, pre-practice to go as I'm running out. He threw me a couple balls, just in the back of the end zone, but never in that type of situation. So it was fun to see, and of course, I kind of joked that following week when Mike ended up showing it in the, of course, showed it in the team meeting. I was like, that's what you call chemistry right there. Hopefully we can keep building off that. And it was fun, man. I enjoyed that. Joking with the receivers, like maybe I need to teach y'all the little scramble drills.
Yes.
Rules or whatever. But like I say, it was fun, man. I was excited to actually, first year guy. I kept that ball and that jersey, so I could get Cam Ward to sign it.
The Titans are clearly positioning both you and Cam Ward as the two guys and really faces of this franchise. When you consider the fact they're going to open a new stadium, your face will be front and center. What does that mean to you?
It means the world to me, honestly. To know that for me, going on year 8, when I first got to Tennessee, my goal and my promise is to help with this city win a Super Bowl. Now that we have a franchise quarterback that I know we could really do it, and now with Saleh coming in, and with Mike Bergunzi, to know, their vision, to hear that vision that Mike have, it's exciting to see because I know eventually we would get to where we want to be at. And, the way I feel, the way my body feel, I feel like I got a lot more in the tank. Like, when certain, especially playing the defensive line position, guys say, man, I may want to play 10. I don't have a number. So as much as I keep taking care of my body and keep, doing everything I can in the offseason to be ready to play, I want to retire Titan. And I think they understand that. And that come with, of course I know, the age is a big thing, but, I just want to keep being able to produce for the Titans and to be able to have the opportunity to retire Titan. But I feel like it's a easy responsibility. I think when you accept the fact that they want you to lead this organization, they want you to in the future to be able to be in that new stadium as a defensive guy, as a defensive captain. I accepted that maybe with my 3rd year that you're the leader of this football team. Of course with us drafting Cam now, it's like my job doesn't change. I still feel like my job is to not just the defensive side of the football, but this whole football team. How can I continue to get the best out of all my teammates to eventually, get back to where we want them to be at? So, I'm excited. I'm excited for the new stadium. I'm excited to continue to get better with my leadership, that leadership role, and because I think when we're talking about, especially going into a new stadium, we're going to probably draft a lot of young guys. We're going to probably spend a lot of our picks and money maybe into younger guys. And I don't really know that, but that's the direction, I feel like we're going to be headed. So in that, with that being said, I have to better that leadership. I have to keep getting better as a leader. And, that's what I'm excited about. It's not too much pressure on me.
What is it? Because this really stood out to me. You said it's important to you to really retire a Titan, be here throughout the duration of your career, Jeff. What is it about that statement, about that sentiment in your mind? Why does it mean so much to you?
First off, when you look around the league, there ain't too many guys get drafted to a team and retire with that team.
No.
But the relationship that I have and the relationship that I feel like I built with Miss Amy, and to know kind of, like I said, the vision, I feel like I fit great with this organization. I fit great with the city. I understand what it takes to win. I would say, especially as a defensive lineman, if your defensive line, and I'm big on the way you go up front, no matter if it's O-line, D-line, the rest of the team go. The way we go, everybody else go. And, what better than already having, of course I want to continue to get better with my game and continue to play at a high level, but, what better way to to keep your cornerstone defensive lineman in place to help continue to dominate up front to fix other problems. And I think for me, man, I didn't express that with Miss Amy. I didn't express that with Mike. Like I want to be here. I want to be able to help this team get back to where it needs to be. Because I know what it takes. Like I said, of course, I haven't won a Super Bowl, and that's the goal. But to be able to get back to where we need to be, the first thing is going to be the off the field stuff with the leadership part of it. So
it sounds to me like when you think of the legacy of your career, that gold jacket is pretty important.
Oh, it's important. It's important. I think when it's not so much of when we're talking about the market. Yes. Do I wish I was in the do I wish we
Sure.
get more attention? Yes, but also, and I was telling I was on with Will and Taylor yesterday, and I was talking about winning. Winning take care of everything. If we could continue to keep rising and playing at a high level, eventually the record and things and playoff wins and all that's gonna take care of itself. But my goal is to worry about the now. How can I be, for one, a better leader each and every year? How can I continue to raise my play each and every year? And how can I get the guys around me to continue to rise and elevate to be the best they could be? So, so the gold jacket is very important to me. Is it something I think about here and there? Yeah, but I just feel like my goal, especially coming to last year, Jordan, it wasn't so much focused on the All Pro. It wasn't focused on Pro Bowl. It was focused on what's in front of me right now. Each and every day I walk into the building, it's be better than yesterday. Each and every time I step on that field on Sunday, keep improving, keep being that dominant defensive tackle. And that's all I was focused on this year.
A lot of people, Jeff, say that you could throw a flag on the offensive lineman on every play. Is that true?
Most definitely true, especially against me.
Yes.
I don't think it's not one time that if I'm getting sink blocked, first off, I didn't get many this year. I'm
not a lot. No.
Teams not finna just come in and say we're gonna sing a block. If they do, good luck. But even when I'm getting that double team, I'm getting a slide, and I may work back into the center, and now the guard just holding the heck out of my jersey or something. It's something they could call, and you know how we could get called for a blindside block, right? And like we come in, offensive lineman, they throw a pick, and we just come and nudge, and they gonna throw the flag. The offensive lineman could come. I'm rushing the guard. I'm rushing the center, whatever it may be, and I think it was who was it? I forgot who was it. Was playing, and I just know they came and took it like open-handed and went straight to the side of my head. I don't know if it was the Saints or whatnot. Maybe the Saints. He came in open-handed, and I'm like, my neck. Like, what are we doing here? Just
right. No call.
And if I do that to the quarterback, if I go do that,
right,
I feel like that's gonna get called every time. But it's just things like that to where I'm like, well, what are we doing? The referee didn't see that apparently, but I do agree with that. I think they could most definitely get flagged every time, every snap. False starts for sure.
Yeah. So Cam Jordan came on one of my shows last week. I don't know if you saw this, and
I did.
He made this.
He hate offensive linemen.
He hate offensive linemen. He said all offensive linemen are unathletic except for maybe I think Trent Williams or Tristan Wirfs. It was a crazy thing to say, but you would know way better than me.
Me personally, I gotta agree with him. Like when we talking about offensive linemen,
right?
Yes. And I did see what he exactly said. Like I said, I watched your podcast. I watched the clip that you put out, and I couldn't help but to laugh because he was dead serious.
He was.
And it was like because I didn't hear him say this at the Pastoral Summit that Von Miller did. Like he up there talking, and he was like, "Bro, they're terrible. Like they're the most terrible athletes on the field. That's the reason why they play O-line. He's like, they just fat, bad body roadblocks in the way.
Roadblocks, yeah, bad body roadblocks. Yep.
And it's fun. It's funny as hell because I know Cam and like I've been around him and I know he's so serious. But I gotta agree. Yes, do they do some like crazy stuff at times to where it's like wow, but are they doing it to defensive linemen or when they make highlight reels, or if they much respect to Trent Williams, and I played against him this past year. Got a lot of respect for him, but a lot of his highlights is DBs where he pulling around or on a DB or a linebacker to where he crushing them, and it looks like it's so athletic, but it's smaller guys. Don't get me wrong, like he do crazy stuff to defensive linemen, but I feel like most of O linemen's highlights is gonna come from, maybe pulling or going downfield and maybe knocking over a DB. But I do agree with it, especially when you're talking about centers. Centers, that's the reason why they play center. They the most bad by outside of Kelsey. I mean, Kelsey get a pass. He was like
Jason Kelsey he's in his own category. Okay.
Yeah, like he was small and faster, but most of the time when you playing offensive center, like when you playing center, you're probably the worst athlete on the field out of all the offensive linemen. Not saying that any of them good, but some of them got some good feet here and there. But we talking about as an athlete whole, like just being athletic. I agree with Cam.
Wow, this is I wasn't sure because this is now two of the best in the business who are saying
I gotta agree with Cam, like, because when we talking about one-on-one pass rush, if I got you on the island, can you really? We talking about dancing, because I feel like football is basketball on grass. When we talking about pass rush, I should say, because you see, even with the Myles Garrett, one-on-one offensive tackle versus Myles Garrett, you go get your best offensive tackle. Who's going to win that footwork matchup?
Garrett.
Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like the stuff he do on the edges and the footwork inside when we're talking about my freezes and stuff of that nature, it's the reason why they get all off balance when you do it and they can't recover. With us, we can maybe slip coming off the line of scrimmage, recover and get a sack off that. Once they slip, there's no recovering from the offensive linemen.
For those who haven't been on an NFL field during a game or even a practice or pregame, it's impossible to express how violent and how it's a car crash every play. How would you describe it to someone who maybe just watches on TV? Just how physical and violent and relentless the NFL is during a game.
For us especially, it's not a play that we not in contact. Playing defensive line, if you're on the football field, especially interior, if you're on the football field, you're gonna get touched. Either your hands, your fingers. Like, it's not a play to where I'm like, maybe I jam a finger, maybe now I got a net, like I see a black nail or something like that. Like, it's like every single play is a car crash. And just imagine, it's not these guys like you pushing around, you at home, you playing with your kids, and you bumping shoulder. Every single play is 600 pounds on as a 3 technique. Maybe, especially for me, I get double teamed a lot, no matter the run or pass. But every single play, I got 600 pounds weighing on this 305-pound guy. Yes, is I'm strong, all that. Yes, do I get paid to do it? But every single play, it's like, golly, give me a break. That's what I be saying out there, bro. I especially when in the middle, like a timeout or something, I'm like, bro, center, like whoever the center may be, I'm like, can you just please go the other way? Give
one play.
Give me a one-on-one, and like it's like that every single play. For me, my body, of course, that's one of the things that I learned, especially the reason why I kind of changed my diet, to the reason why I changed a lot of the stuff that I was doing after the game, because first couple of years when I got in the NFL, I'm like, this is real. Like the way my body felt after the game, leading maybe up until like a Wednesday evening. After that practice is when I really started to feel okay again. The amount of snap that I played, to the amount of contact that I'm getting throughout that game, because I'm running, I'm trying to make every tackle, I'm trying to throw my body to make every tackle. So the way I feel leading up until that Wednesday is like, golly, like I'm gonna be able to. Sometimes it's like, is this feeling gonna shake eventually? Like, or my ribs gonna feel better by Friday of this week? Like that's the type of stuff that I'm feeling throughout the week. So it's a business, man. It's one of the things to where you have to, like, your body is your business, and that you got to treat it like that. You got to treat it. It's like my body, my business. Like the way I take care of my body, it's the reason why I'm gonna be able to keep playing at a high level. So
having played at Mississippi State, are there similarities at all between the SEC and the NFL?
Playing in the SEC, it got you ready to play in the NFL. I would say when it comes down to, I'm not even gonna say talent. I would say more size than talent, because I mean I could go out there and play against a guy from the Sun Belt Conference that don't have the size to play in the SEC, but he just a gritty old dirty guy in the trenches, to where now if I let him get under my pads, or if my technique not where it need to be, then anybody could get beat on this level. So I think yes, the size different that a lot of teams look for when you're playing against the Alabama. I mean, when I was at Mississippi State and we played against Bama, you're going against guys like Lester Cotton, who maybe 360 when he was at Bama, and you got guys who built like JC playing guard.
Latham, yeah.
He's a attacker, but you got guys like him playing guard at Alabama. So it's like when you're playing against guys like that gets you prepared to know, like, okay, this is what the trenches feel like. But when I go back to the talent and the speed, once I got really going in the NFL, maybe I felt like college was a little tad faster, a little bit, because of course you got more no huddle team in college that's on the ball. But when I think I wouldn't really compare it and say it's the same, and really just prepare me other than playing against bigger guys in college. I think when you talk about the NFL, everybody, it's the reason why it's the NFL. Everybody can't do this. And, if you're just a gritty guy that playing offensive line, like I said, it's a lot of guys in this league that didn't play in the SEC, that starters and all pros that playing offensive line right now. Quinn Nelson, he didn't play in the SEC.
Yeah, yeah.
So
yeah, that's a great point. You mentioned something that stood out to me, Jeffrey, is the business part. And I always try to solidify this point, especially to younger players. When did you realize that the NFL is a business? How did that come to fruition for you?
Well, that started when we made the initial cuts at the end of training camp. I was never part of that, because college you're not cutting guys. But when I'm walking through this building at the end of training camp, and I'm seeing guys like, maybe with that sad face on their face, or through the season as a rookie trying to learn the ins and outs of this business, to where I'm like, they really just cut this guy. And he just played in a football game Sunday. He just got done doing meetings, and then as we get ready to go lift, they like come walk with me like somebody want to see you. And as I got in the league, I heard Grand Reaper. I didn't know what they were talking about. Like I'm laying like, what are you talking about, the Grand Reaper? They go to Grand Reaper. And when you see these guys walking into the locker room, you're like, they go to Grim Reaper, like he coming to get somebody. And they talking about, the guys that work upstairs and they come get you to go talk to the GM. They send guys to come talk to him, and I'm like, this is a true business. If you can't help the football team, and sometimes it's just not, maybe your practice squad got to where maybe we have to use this spot for someone else. And I learned that fast, to where I'm like, this is a business to where you better come in and do everything you can. Because one thing I learned, even from playing this game of football, and Denard did a hell of a job of even reminding us this past year that each and every day is an interview when you walk into this building. Whatever you do, everything is being watched. Everything you do, your film is your resume. You go out there and practice like crap, play like crap. That's who you are as a player. And when you hear them type of things over your career, throughout your career, you realize, like, this is not nothing to play with. Like in college, you make it get off with a couple of things, of, maybe that was a bad game and I can bounce back eventually. In this business, you better be on a high alert each and every day when you walk into this business. Like I have to be on, not I wouldn't say high alert, but I have to be on my grind. I have to be on my stuff each and every time I step into this building and on the football field.
That's a fantastic answer, because it is a business, and as fans, as for someone like me who reports on the game, it's like we see you typically for 3 hours on a Sunday and that's it. But there's so many other impressions that you can or can't make throughout the course of a week.
that's the great thing about this game because, I mean, even as fans, sometimes, like, I'm a fan of the game when I'm not playing football. When I'm, like, this weekend, like this past weekend, I was cheering, I'm out there playing. But when you're a fan, you kind of don't understand, like, not you, but because you.
I get it.
But
yeah.
I'm saying, like, when you're talking about certain fans and they get mad and they say, maybe we should lose this game this weekend so we get a higher pick. Maybe we should win. Like, or you guys can't go win a football game. Like, each and every day we walk into this building, we trying to do, we preparing, we trying to do everything to win a football game on Sunday. And it's like, it sometimes, like, piss me off to know, like, some of these fans don't understand. Like, no, we are not trying to go out here and get a roughing the passer. No, we are not trying to go out here and lose a football game because the amount of work and the commitment hours that we put into this game, a lot of people don't see that. I mean, some days, we wake up, especially maybe you heard of something. You got to be here at the facility at 6:30 in the morning when meetings don't start at 8:30. To now, I don't get home. I'm leaving my kids before they wake up in the morning. I don't get home to maybe it's traffic here in Nashville. Get home sometime at 6 at night to where you probably got an hour and a half to spend with them, depending on what time you put your kids down. So it's a commitment. I mean, yes, we get paid to do this, and the money don't fix everything. I should say it's still a committed thing that we have to commit to.
Yeah, the money part is the easiest thing for fans to say, but I always say that the NFL players, yes, they are well compensated, but the money doesn't change the fact that they still have the same problems as you and me and everyone else. Sometimes it amplifies it,
Most definitely does.
So
sometimes.
Yeah. All right, last question, a fun one. Who are your current top 5 DTs in football?
Oh, golly. Oh, man. So many good ones right now. I got to go Chris Jones. He's still playing at a high level. Everyone had him seasoned to where your team, not so much success with the team, but to still be dominant, to still get all the attention. He get hella attention, from running back chips and, whatever, double teams. I would say Chris. Quentin Williams still one of my favorite. We came in together as one of them guys that, talk to here and there. Got to go Leonard Williams.
Yes, Leo, monster.
Big fan of his. I got to put myself in there, to playing at a high level. Then that last one, man.
This is where it gets tricky.
It's a tie right now. Because I feel like if he didn't get hurt this year, he dang near would have led D tackles in sacks the way he was going, because he was beating me at one point. Malik Collins and Allen.
Zach Allen.
Yeah. He's one of the most underrated D tackles. Happy for him to get Pro Bowl this year, but right now, playing today, I think is out of them two for that 5th spot. I think that's a solid list. Because there's so many other D tackles that I could add in there, but playing at a high level right now, especially even in the playoff game, watching him the other night, to see him just continue to dominate that defensive front with Denver, he's doing it at a high level back-to-back years now. So, I'll be excited, and them guys excited, like they excited to watch, I should say.
Jeffery Simmons, an absolute pleasure. Another All-Pro on your way to a gold jacket. I have no doubt about that. Thank you so much for joining me on the Schultz Report, and definitely would love to do it again. And congratulations on a big-time hire in Tennessee and a lot of success to come.
Appreciate you, boss. Thanks for having me once again.